So I'm sitting here with Caroline. It's such a joy. Caroline is somatic experiencing colleague and a recent student, and I'm hoping a future friend and co-conspirer in all things somatic. And Caroline, I wanted to reach out to you and ask you, what drew you to do? You're kind of at the end of a second class with me this year. You've done two master classes in a row, the Boundaries Master Class and the book club. What drew you to this work with me?
I first heard about you and your work when I was in the middle of my training as a somatic experiencing practitioner. Um, and I was often in conversations with another student of yours who is a very dear friend of mine. Um, because we both come from backgrounds of having disordered eating and really contentious and often quite harmful relationships with our bodies. And during our somatic experiencing training, we were often talking about how surprised we were that in the disordered eating recovery spaces we had been in, there was not really any conversation about the physiology itself or about the physical experience or nervous system experience of being in a body other than I wish it would change, it won't, it will, this, that, and the other. Um, And in the somatic space, I think we were both also really hungry for more robust conversation around how that work spoke to disordered eating and disordered relationships with the body. And as those conversations continued and still happen, I was ending up or nearing the end of my training in that particular somatic container and starting to feel curious about my own boundaries and how those affected me. And right around that time, a boundaries masterclass from you popped up. And I felt really lit up at the prospect of um, getting to focus on that really explicitly and to start to make more sense of this weaving I was feeling my way into between somatic experiencing boundaries and disordered eating. So um, that's the semi-short version of how I found you.
Yeah, I love that. I remember just being all lit up seeing you in class,
Yeah.
being so excited you were there.
Mm.
Would you say that there's something that really shifted for you from the Boundaries Masterclass? And do you have a sense of what that was?
Huge, yes. Many things. I think the biggest shift in that class was a slow dawning and awareness that anytime I am in conflict or in a space where I feel I might have done something wrong, big or small, or in a space where I really want someone to like me. And I would say that's particularly true in a romantic context, but in a platonic one too. I, I gone. This was gone. I was out and away out of the container. Like I was over there, I was with you, I was following everything you were saying and trying to fix the thing or trying to say the right thing or but I had left my body.
Wow.
Um, like there was nothing. This was not any part of anything. Um, and I remember sort of explaining this realization to this person we have in common, and she said something to me about when you're in those situations, can you remind yourself to feel your bones? Can you feel your bones? And I was so struck by that. I mean, it seemed kind of ridiculous, but to start to play with that idea of that 50-50 awareness you speak to, which is my interpretation of that is I can be with you and I can also still feel me.
Yeah.
And the kind of presence and slowing down that requires for me and for my system is so new and, excuse me, often uncomfortable. But that felt really revolutionary to consider that I could still be a part of those conversations and that I could still take the time and space to acknowledge and feel my body and my skin and my boundary and let that be as present as this other person's experience and to watch how that might shift things. That felt like a really big brain melting moment in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it sounds like a huge relational reorientation.
Yeah.
That there's me, I don't disappear when there's a you,
Mhm.
and something gets to happen in the in-between space.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
what a huge learning.
Hmm.
And then it wasn't long after the Boundaries Masterclass that our book club started.
Hmm.
And I had been promising my readers a book club for like
Mm.
as long as I've been promising an audiobook, which
Yeah.
is forever.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, Galina, enough with the promises. It's the jig is up. It's time.
Yeah.
It's time to
Yeah.
deliver. And I have been so pleasantly surprised to find just what a delightful and nourishing space it's been. What has
Yeah.
been your experience of the book club, especially in relationship to just reading the book?
Yeah, I have had this relationship with food and with my body for most of my life, so I've read a lot of books. And there is something really special about getting to explore it in a way that allows the reading of it and the exploration of it to really be embodied. And to have the writer be able to speak to why she wrote that chapter. And then to have the experience of in community doing some real-time exercises and activities that can help the learnings from that particular chapter to land. It feels like a really, really generative space. And that's a completely different way of reading a book and going through material than certainly than I've ever experienced. And I'm so grateful for it. Feels really special.
Yeah, it's been truly, truly enriching for me as a teacher to go, wow, look at what's possible when we all slow down together to actually absorb. The word that comes to me is like a change potential, that there's a change potential in each practice, but
Mm.
it's not always absorbed.
Yeah.
And that we get to absorb that change potential together and shift in our capacity with the collective support.
Yes. Yes. This phrase came to me as I was thinking about being in space with you or in master classes with you, and it is not mine, and please forgive the food pun, but these spaces are very nutritious and delicious
Yes.
in the sense that they are very nutrient rich. There's a lot of deep learning and rich material, and it's also a delicious experience to feel into it. It feels good and it feels safe and comforting and contained and all those other wonderful things. So it's not just the learning and it's also not just kind of like the ooey gooey feel good stuff. Both things are happening and that feels uh special also. Yeah.
I'm laughing because I'm remembering it was somewhere in like my second year of learning SE, and we were with Abby Blakesley.
Mm.
And there was some practice that we were doing, and she was asking me, how did that feel to be on the receiving end? And I said, you know what? It felt like a really nice massage, but like one of those massages that they do with chocolate, where they like melt chocolate all over your skin. So it felt really healing, but it also felt really yummy.
Yeah.
And I never thought therapy could be yummy.
No kidding.
I go and like feel your pain and feel it to heal it. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad that this is coming through because so much of our hunger is for this.
Absolutely. And I would also say there have been some big breakthrough moments for me in both of these courses, not surprisingly, like right around the middle, where something happens and my brain and my ego start to get really loud and really scared. And um there are moments that are have been like sort of I mean I don't want to use this word as like a scare tactic, but they've been painful moments. And yet being on the other side of them, they're still medicine. So even when the experience is like a little bit bitter, it's still really good.
Mm.
And I still am able to walk away from or turn around and view that moment as necessary and important
Yeah.
and delicious in its own way. Although at the time I would not have said like, I really like this. This feels great. You know,
Like some
that's
bitter,
some of
like
it too.
some like a bitter tincture kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but that's life. Why would I expect
Yeah.
an experience where I'm growing to be any different than the way life is, which is that like I don't love every single teeny tiny moment of it. It's not all rainbows and glitter, although that would be very fun. And yet it's still really vital and important and really rich.
Yeah, that's lovely to hear. I know you've spoken about these big aha moments, and I'm curious if you took a little, I know it's kind of difficult to take a before and after somatic screenshot, but if you were to take an inner screenshot of your state before
Mm-hmm.
and your state after, what would you say was the biggest change in you through somatic boundaries, and maybe through the book club, which is almost over?
Boundaries, the image I get is really like from here to
Oh,
being a little more here.
nice.
Uh, and that speaks to that breakthrough I had around your space, my space, you over there, me over here. Um, the somatic difference during the book club, because the big kind of breakthrough piece during book club for me was, as a kid, I was super imaginative and um my like escapist tendencies were actually quite embodied so that I wasn't like leaving the room. And the older I've gotten, the more I have taken that away from myself.
Hmm.
And yet, those are parts of me that still feel really core and tantamount to who I am. But when moments of big feeling happen, my first thought is to panic because I need to fix it because these are the things that make me less whole
Hmm.
and less deserving. And for me, the flip has been what would it be like to consider those as moments of like messaging? What is my body trying to tell me? What is my really deepest, truest self trying to communicate? So I guess somatically it moves from a place of deep, deep freeze, which is kind of my habitual trauma response, into something that's a little more open and movable. Like I still have availability to move and be aware of and in my body in a way that the before version is just me completely frozen, as small as humanly possible, trying to push everything out.
Yeah, it sounds like in some way,
Yeah,
like if if we're doing
that's
sculpture,
right. That's right.
sometimes at retreat we work a lot with like pantomiming our states, you know? So
Hmm.
like from here, just more
Yeah.
like being welcoming to what's arising as opposed to being
Yeah.
scared of it.
Yeah. And I think for someone who feels so porous, inviting in a little more of that can feel like the opposite of what I want to do. But there is a different way of being with that porousness and a different kind of welcome and invitation to that
Mhm.
that is available now, little by little.
Yeah. It's very interesting because thinking about somebody who's more porous, which I am as well, more on the underbounded end of
Mhm.
the spectrum and how my form is organized, I've always had this feeling like I have a lot of energy. I have
Mhm.
so much energy, but it hasn't been held in a way that I feel this, I have the structure to hold it in an organized way. So it's been kind
Yes.
of dispersed here and here and here and
Yes.
here. And so in a way, I feel like both the Boundary Masterclass and the book club, somehow like you made this lovely cocktail for yourself between these two, mix those two classes together. And
Mhm.
it sounds like more structure and more organization for the beautiful energy that you already have.
Yeah, I mean, I think you provide a real container with these master classes, and the intention for safety and for coherence
Mhm.
is in the building and the holding of that container. And as you say, that allows for an experience of a different kind of environment in which I can show up. Um, and I'm just thinking how interesting it is to hear you say like energy versus knowing how to hold it, because for me, often it's energy and then knowing what to do with it, as opposed to just being like, there's a bunch of stuff here. I'm freaked out by that.
Mm.
And I am still in that process for sure, but I just want to acknowledge the container that you provide for that, which makes that feel possible.
Yeah. I wonder if there's aspects of that group space, which is not too small.
Hmm.
It's not too big.
Hmm.
There's been like an average of 25 to 30 people in these groups. What do you find has been helpful or supportive about the field and the group field itself?
I do think there's something to being witnessed.
Mm.
Um, I'm very good at witnessing,
Mhm.
and it often takes a little bit of extra oomph for me to feel I can be witnessed.
Yeah.
Um, but again, I think because of the way the container is held, I perceive that we're all able to show up on equal footing
Mhm.
and to speak each of our own little piece of something into this big like witch's brew we're sort of making together. Um, and that everybody's contribution to that is welcome and important and part of how we move through the material. Um, I think it's one of those moments where I can remember in class thinking like that's a really stupid question and having someone frame to me, but it's possible someone else has that question and they don't even know it. So if you are so willing to bring yourself into the space, you're actually helping other people too. And I definitely feel that in witnessing other people's um, thoughts or comments or questions or wonderings.
Yeah, that's lovely. Q&A is my favorite part of any any class.
Mhm.
And in our little school, we have office hours every week, and I'm just so excited when people bring questions because then that allows me to say some things for the first time.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's just a TED talk, and I don't think that
Right.
we can, not that we can't learn from a talk, but somatic learning is the opposite of receiving information. It is collaborating to have transformation, and that's a very, very different process, teacher to
Yeah.
student,
Yeah.
kind of here together
Yes.
instead of like this. And that's something that I strive for in how we do everything in our little school with my team. Okay, my last question to you, even though I have a million questions for you. What would you tell someone who's considering doing a master class, either the book club or boundaries or sacred rest, whatever's coming up next?
Yeah, for me, I mean, barring some personal circumstance I couldn't possibly speak to, I don't know why you wouldn't sign up. Um, as I said, these spaces are really, really rich. They're really nutrient dense and they're also really yummy to be in. And I think I am so lit up by and attracted to healing spaces and transformative spaces. So I'm sort of like my buy-in is on the vibes sometimes, and
Mm.
those are there. But and also, I have walked away with more concrete, practical exercises, activities, um, again, containers for looking at specific pieces of this work than I think I've ever walked away with in any experience like this that I have had, so that I'm able to apply in real time immediately the things we're learning and talking about, both for myself, but also as a practitioner in the world. I have something I can immediately take away with me and bring into my work. And that feels very different than other spaces I have been in like this. That like, yeah, the vibes are there, the healing is there, the transformative sort of resonance is there, but so is all of this like boots on the ground. I can feel it in this moment, learning and material. And I have access to that in a way that I can keep coming back to so that the learning can continue. And that feels very different than other spaces like this that I've been in.
Oh, that lights my heart so much.
I'm so glad. It's true.
It's what keeps me up at night and what lifts up
Yeah.
my covers in the morning. And in our team meetings, it's all about how do we help people receive,
Yeah.
like, because in the the nature of disordered eating
Hmm.
is the inability to bring what's good into our.
Right. Right.
And so we stay out here
Hmm.
grasping and struggling and flailing without actually being able to hold on to something that's nourishing and to actually absorb it.
Right.
And so the fact that you're able to get that out of the master classes is just making me so happy. And
So
it's
glad.
exciting me to create more.
Yeah.
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 Thank you, Caroline. I appreciate your feedback and your just very generous share. Thank you.
Absolutely.